Welcome everyone to tonight's webinar. A very warm welcome to everyone joining us. I am so delighted to say that I am joined by two amazing women from DHL, which, as many of you I'm sure know, plays a crucial role in making races happen among many motorsport series, obviously with Formula One and Formula E in particular. My name is Izzy Browning. I'm a motorsport presenter and I will be your host tonight for this webinar, which is part of the Girls on Track UK initiative managed by Motorsport UK. As always, just some quick notes before we begin. First of all, this webinar is being recorded and will be made available after the event on the Girls on Track UK community Facebook page. And all previous webinars, as well as this webinar, will be made available on the Motorsport UK YouTube channel too. Apart from our panelists, all participants are restricted from speaking, but you can use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to ask questions during the session if you think of any more, and we will try and answer as many questions as possible in the time we have. But we do have a long list of questions that have already been sent in, so we'll start with those. And the other thing to say is that we, unfortunately, all three of us are a little bit under the weather tonight. So if we sound a bit funny, please excuse our voices. We will be okay. We'll power on through. So on with the show. Joining me tonight are two very experienced, very knowledgeable women who are ready to impart their wisdom on us. So we're going to meet them now. First up is Manuela Gianni, head of Motorsport Italy for DHL, who, I mean, it's completely fair to say has a wealth of experience in logistics surrounding the motorsport world. Manuela, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me, and I'm really pleased to be here and give a contribution, and make other female girls, women, enthusiastic about what we do in the field of motorsport.
Good, that's what we're all about. So fantastic. Also joining us tonight is Alina Vicht, Senior Global Sponsoring Manager at DHL, again with a really, really impressive background in sponsoring and marketing. So Alina, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine actually. A bit sick still, but yeah, didn't want to miss the opportunity to be here. So it's a really pleasure to be here and share a bit about myself with you. Yeah, so my name is Alina, and I currently serve as a senior global sponsoring manager at DHL. And yeah, my journey in DHL began quite early, so in 2012 already. Starting first in procurement, now I'm in the marketing team. So yeah, I have a bit of insights to share with you all, and I'm looking forward to this discussion.
We're all very committed to the cause. Thank you guys for joining me so much tonight. Right, so we are just going to dive straight in. I've given your job titles, but it's always best to hear from the people that actually do the jobs. So yeah, if you could just tell me a little bit about what you do day to day. Manuela, we'll start with you.
Yeah, no problem. So basically, as you said, I'm the head of DHL Motorsport Italy. And with my team, basically, I oversee all the motorsport activities of Formula One for all the parts related to continental teams and suppliers, such as, for example, Pirelli. And for Formula E, basically, we handle everything from A to Z concerning this championship, all the logistics. And we also handle with my team a bunch of series and other sporting events, always related to motorsport competitions. So that's what we do. I've started, actually, I know that the audience is a lot from Mexico, right? So I started, my first race was Mexico City 1989. So probably none of them were born yet. But you see, there's hope. I'm still here. And again, I'm looking forward to share my experience and my, my background and, how we got, and if I can give like some little advice, I would be happy. Because I know everyone has a dream and everyone deserves, getting to see this dream made true through hard work and dedication, of course, but and especially women now, they do deserve being seen as an integral force and an equal force throughout also the business, whatever the business. So motorsport as well.
Yeah. Well, we're very excited to hear about everything, all the way back to 1989. Alina, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm a member of the group brand marketing team at DHL. So it's basically the marketing corporate function of DHL. So this is where our sponsoring team sits. And within the team, I am responsible for overseeing our partnership with Formula E from a marketing perspective. So my role at DHL each day involves, let's say, a mix of strategic thinking. So looking at campaigns and where we're going, also from a company perspective and how we can place it then all within the Formula E frame. And then also collaboration or collaborating with different markets, with the different countries, because we are truly global company. So my role is really to develop campaigns that highlight DHL's partnership with Formula E, and then finding ways to communicate it through the different channels that we have and through relevant PR. So as I said, collaboration is a big part of my job, working with different countries. So we ensure that our campaigns not only have a global appeal, but also can be tailored to the different markets and the different cultures that we have. So we need to make sure we have a global message, but we can also adjust the message to the different cultural nuances. And then, once we have the campaign strategy, then I also oversee the implementation. And this also involves working closely with creative teams, so with an agency, with Formula E, of course, to really bring the ideas to life. This involves like videos, images, stories that we tell, that we then publish on different channels. Communication is also a key aspect of my role. So I write a lot of emails in the day. I have a lot of calls, but it's very exciting, and the days are quite different. So you won't have one exact day. So it's really, really exciting. And
So basically, two very, very busy ladies is what we've got with us tonight. So thank you for joining us and taking your time. So I guess we should probably start with kind of how did your passion begin within this specific area of motorsport? Because logistics is a huge, but not always talked about part of the sport. It kind of happens very smoothly, it seems, between races. So how did you kind of find a passion for and find yourself in this kind of role? Manuela, we'll start with you again.
I have to say that, as far as I'm concerned, I just got thrown into this by complete chance. So it's not that really, I decided, when I was like younger, when I want to be a doctor, I want to be an archaeologist, I want to be something, I just happened to be here for some reason, the universe conspired into getting me here. But I have to say that the job I do is complex, is stressful, but there is not a minute of boredom, and it captures you. It's so interesting. You learn so much every day. So it's impossible not to be passionate about it, in my experience, in my opinion. So I guess I do nothing to cultivate this passion. It's just inside, and it's just something that comes from the job. It's a retribution for all the sacrifice that we do every day for this, because it's very challenging, it's very demanding, it's not as glamorous as it seems, but it gives you a lot of of joy and in seeing the accomplishment and of what you do and being really part of what you see on television on a Sunday, for example, or a Saturday for Formula E, but like a Sunday for Formula One. So that's how you cultivate this passion, because it just, it's the job, is the type of job, in my opinion, that exudes it. Or maybe I just have it in me, I don't know. I really don't know. But I really think this is a job that, if you get into it, you will never leave. It's it's really.
Alina, how about you? Kind of the same?
Yes, it's kind of the same. I can resonate with everything that Manuela said. So for me, actually, I didn't plan to love motorsports at all. It happened really by chance. So when I started working in the global sponsoring team last year, I got involved with Formula E almost by accident. So it was the partnership that was, let's say, free. There was no one working on it. So yeah, I was the one. And at first, I need to say, before I attended any event, any race, it was just a job, right? You just write emails, of course you communicate with your team and you work quite closely with the agency. But then as I learned more about Formula E, I got really excited, I need to say. So the cool technology, the focus on being eco-friendly, and also the races that are really exciting. So for me, what began as something I had to do for work turned into a real passion finally. And now I'm not just managing Formula E partnership, I'm also a bit of a fan. So it's really funny how things or how unexpected things at work can lead to discovering new interests, right? So.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll kind of talk a bit later about the kind of eco-friendly nature of Formula E and how that ties in with your work. So yeah, I mean, to get to the job that you are in now, what kind of training did you kind of go through? Alina, we'll come to you first.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a long answer. I think for me, I had to pursue a diverse range of trainings to equip myself with the skills necessary for the job or for the roles. Also, not only for this role, but also for the roles I had. So, for example, in procurement, I did several negotiation trainings. So courses like the Completed Negotiator, and yeah, this really enhanced, of course, my negotiation skills, and then to enhance my leadership and my project management capabilities, I also attended a training called Getting Results Without Authority. And this one I can really totally recommend, because for each and every job, you learn how to persuade people and bring them on your side, which I think you need in each and every situation at work, right? Be it your salary negotiation or your sponsoring partner or your colleagues, you have to persuade people. So this one was really helpful for me. And yeah, I also did a Scrum Master certification, which I needed back then for my job. But I think each program has been a stepping stone in my journey. So I think it's always important to reflect on the skills you already have and the skills that you that are required in the job you want to do, or the job you're currently doing, and then identify the gap or improvement areas which you can then fill with a relevant training program. And I'm very lucky because my company and my team are very supportive in attending training. So whenever I have a training wish or need, they support me, which is great.
Yeah. And Manuela, what about you? Because you've had quite a few different roles that have all kind of been within DHL, but something different in each role. So how about you?
Yeah, that is the same. I can't, agree more with what Alina said, because, in every single part of your, working paths, you need to acquire skills, different skills. I started from a very junior role, and that gave me an opportunity to see the job from many different perspectives. But obviously, I needed support, I needed training that the company actually is. This company like DHL is really, really good at supplying to their employees. So, for example, I had to train for dangerous good transportation, finance for non-finance, leadership skills, negotiation skills, all sorts of different, trainings that the company was offering me to support me during my, career growth, because every single step was kind of different. But at the same time, because, I can't, as I said, I can't single out like single trainings or anything, but at the same time, I have to say that in my job, I'm talking about logistics, in my job, what we say in Italy, we have a saying in Italy, we say val più la pratica della grammatica, which means basically, maybe the Spanish audience understood because, our languages are very similar, but basically it means that you learn a lot more from experience, from what you actually do, than from theory. I mean, theory is all very good, but you have to be thrown into the action, and then basically you learn. And our team is here to support each other. Everybody that comes in, comes in with less experience, and obviously needs to be involved in the operations, and you learn on site, and this is also very exciting. And I must believe the perfect knowledge of the English language, because it's the international language. We deal every day with people from like a million different nationalities, so you have to have a common ground, and that is like you have to be able to communicate properly. So definitely one of the things that I recommend is obviously knowing English very, very well. Plus, if you know a couple of more languages, that's even a plus. It's a very international environment, but that is my experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of picking up on something that you said there, you've kind of shown us your linguistic ability already, but I believe you speak 4 languages. Is that something that in such a multinational company you think has helped you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm telling you, this is a very funny story. But when I used to be like trackside operations manager in Formula One. We had customers. I'm not going to mention them, but basically French-speaking customers. They would enter the office and they would only talk to me because I was speaking French, and they could speak perfect English, so they could absolutely talk to my colleagues and my staff, but they only wanted to talk to me because I was speaking French to them, which is fun to me. It was good to me because I was like able to practice, but I found it very kind of interesting, let's put it that way. So definitely knowing more than one language helps you. And even if you don't speak perfectly a language, I feel that if you try, to communicate in somebody else's, language, they do appreciate the effort, and it creates a connection. Because also this, when you work in such an environment, where there are so many people connecting also on an empathic level, for me, it's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to dive a little bit more into your roles day to day. So, Alina, you oversee the Formula E partnership from a marketing perspective. So, working at such a big company as DHL, just talk to us a little bit about, you've obviously kind of told us about the process and the strategic thinking that's involved, but just talk to us a little bit about that partnership.
Yeah, sure. So do you want me to talk about the partnership, or to be like part of a big company and working in a big company?
Both. Just tell us your experience.
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, I mean, working for DHL is quite amazing. Of course, it's a truly global company, and it's really cool to work with different teams, different cultures, countries. It's really cool. But for me, also the scale of the company is both opportunities and challenges, of course. So one of the advantages of being part of DHL's marketing team is, of course, the global reach and the impact of the brand. So DHL operates in 220 countries worldwide. And each country has, of course, its very unique market dynamics, cultural nuances, and also consumer behaviors. And this diversity, it provides us with a big opportunity, of course, because we can speak to so many different audiences. The challenge, however, is ensuring that these campaigns that we come up with, they also maintain a cohesive brand identity, right? So we are DHL, and we want everyone to be to see it in a certain manner. So we need to come up with global campaigns that are also adaptable to the specific needs and preferences of each market. So for me personally, working in a large company means also having the opportunity to collaborate with a lot of different people from different backgrounds and different countries. And this for me also fosters the creativity and innovation, which I need always in my job. So I need to be creative, but how do I be creative? I talk to people and I brainstorm, and for me this is the whole creative process. And I think it allows me to also come up with campaigns that entail a lot of different angles because I speak a lot with markets before I come up with campaigns. So I speak to them like, what is important in your market? What do you want to talk about? What are the key topics? And then I try to somehow link it to the Formula E partnership, which is all about sustainability, of course. And that's what we also want as DHL. We want to communicate our sustainability messaging in the frame of the Formula E partnership, which is a great fit because it's all about sustainable racing. And we have a lot of topics to tell, a lot of joint stories that the audiences are interested in. So there's a lot of opportunities, but as I said, it's not always easy.
Yeah, definitely. And it's super interesting to kind of hear about your like creative process as well. Manuela, coming to you, what from an operations side of things, obviously you said you were trackside in F1, what have you kind of seen change?
Throughout the years, you mean?
Yeah.
I have to say, when I started, obviously, talking about motorsport, there were not a lot of women working there, and to be honest, the women that were there were either, I don't know, the girlfriends and spouses of the drivers, or there used to be the umbrella girls, scantily dressed around the cars, or maybe girls that used to work in catering, and in more, let's say, what it was perceived more of a conventional role for women in the past. And I have to say that this changed so much and so quickly, because in the beginning, I have to say, it was kind of difficult to be perceived as a professional because I was a woman. So you always had to work 150% to get the recognition that a man would have doing the same thing. But at the same time, I have to say, this changed so quickly, during my career journey. And I see now, there are so many women, especially in Formula E. It's unbelievable. I think we're more women than men, but like there are so many professional women. I mean, we've seen team principals, engineers, mechanics, logistics people, and really it changed a lot. And I've soon realized that what we were doing inside inside the arena was growing at a fast pace, and it was like growing together with society. So I really have to say, the world from you know, the 80s changed so much, but for the better for us females. And definitely, I know there is not a problem if you really have a passion for motorsport to achieve your goals and to enter the business with the appropriate skills and will you know, sacrifice a lot. Because I keep saying this is not a career. It's, I always say it's like a mission. You're like a doctor. You're like a priest. You don't do it, you know, for the career. You do it because you love it. You have a passion for it, and you want you know, you want to really make the difference. I know it sounds probably exaggerated, but you give up a lot in this job. You really do sacrifice a lot of your personal life, and therefore you really need to be very passionate, but you're paid by all the satisfactions, you know, for it, definitely.
Yeah, wonderful. So I think you both kind of touched a little bit on how it can also have its challenges. So one of our questions that we got was, what in your opinion is the hardest part of your job and why? So Alina, we'll come to you.
Yeah, sure. I think I've touched upon it already. For me, it's really the most challenging part is finding innovation and new ways to create really meaningful and impactful content all the time. You know, like you come up with a campaign for a season, and then it's done, and then the next year you need to find something else, and the next year again, and the next year again. So, and there's so many content and so many ideas already being developed in the last years or in the previous years, that you always like need to think of something else, and you also need to sometimes step away from what you've done in the past and say, okay, maybe we need to find something completely different this year. And what I also find challenging at times is to really keep up with the trends, especially in terms of social media, because we work very closely also together with our digital teams, digital comms team. And basically probably every month or every week even, there's a new trend on social media or a new thing that brands do. So you really need to stay on top of these development and yeah, and really adapt your campaigns and your messaging and your edits that ultimately come out of the campaigns to these trends. So yeah, this is probably for me the most challenging part. And then of course, always reflecting and also checking if your messaging is resonating with the audience, because that's also sometimes impossible to do, because when you, for example, when we post content on our DHL Motorsports channels, yes, you get likes and you get engagements, but a lot of people are just like commenting, for example, where's my parcel? DHL is such a bad company. So it's sometimes difficult to really understand if the content you are creating is really meaningful for them, right? So as I said, yes, you have KPIs, but in the end, the real answer is missing, that someone's telling you, well, you've done great. I love the content. It's so amazing. So yeah, that's for me a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear as well how you're kind of like always trying to keep up with the trends, because it's definitely, you know, the internet moves quickly.
Exactly. Yeah. Too quickly.
Manuela, how about you?
Well, for me personally, is managing the stress and try to find a work and private life balance. I have to say, this is you know, absolutely shared by all of my colleagues and team. You know, everyone that you know, works in this business tells me, you know, that these are you know, the most challenging parts, probably because, you know, arranging, you know, such complex logistics, which is really a monumental task, and you have no room for mistake. And we all know that mistakes happen in the course of life, because even to the best and most experienced people, everyone makes mistakes. But knowing that, or you have like external factors that interfere with all the most accurate planning, so it's extremely stressful. And every single person that is involved in this knows how important and how crucial it's their job, the part of the job that they follow. And if we do not deliver the service we promise to our customers, and if we don't keep the specific KPIs and the time frames that we need to reach, this will mean a huge damage both to our customers, Formula One, Formula E. Can you imagine not racing because the cars are not there? And to DHL reputation. So everyone in the team feels the stress of this and the responsibility, very much. And the second part, which I was mentioning, which is like keeping a balance between our private life and working life. And that is also very difficult. And the fact that we mostly operate during weekends, so you have to and you're away for so long, you're away a long period of time, takes a lot away from your families, your partners, and to be honest, they also should be recognized as the unsung heroes of or for paying the price of of us pursuing our passion, our dreams. So you need a hell of a supporting spouse, trust me. But even the most supporting one might not be really pleased when you don't turn up to Christmas dinner because you're in Mexico unloading Formula E cars like my guys are going to be doing very soon. So definitely, those are the two biggest challenges: the stress and balance between work life and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think something you've really pointed out there is kind of like you can't go racing if the cars aren't there. So it's like, yeah, it's crucial, and it does mean that you have to kind of give up some things to make that happen. So also over the last few years, there's kind of been additional logistical challenges. Obviously, we've got a growing calendar in Formula One and Formula E, but there's also been the impact of COVID. So if you could just chat a little bit about the additional logistical challenges that maybe COVID presented, or the growing calendar, like you said, with the Formula E cars being unloaded on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, COVID was a first for everybody. It was really challenging in the sense that we needed additional support and additional staff because we needed to be ready, replacing the people that were actually delivering the job on site. It was really hard because you had there was also the stress. On top of everything we do every day, on top of the fact that we were away for so long, COVID removed completely the playful part, because we do work, but like then maybe in the evening you can go out with your colleagues for dinner, with your friends. It's like a big, for example, Formula One, Formula E are like huge villages moving from one country to another. So in the end, everybody, and you have the possibility. This is a good part of the job also, that you have the possibility to go out, meet people. It's not like you're lonely in a country where you don't know anybody. But that caused additional stress because, for example, we were not able to share even like a dinner with our colleagues. So once we finished our job, we had to go back to the hotel and eat dinner alone in our room. And when you're away for like maybe 20, 30 days at a time, it becomes extremely hard. So that was an additional challenge. Plus, we had to be tested every other day. And as you know, it was not really nice. So it really, and we had to sort of reinvent ourselves also because every day, we had to find new strategies in order to maybe changed completely the countries where we need to operate because, for example, some countries were closing completely. All of a sudden, the calendar was changing. It was really hard. So we're pleased that part has gone, and we hope it's not going to come back forever. The calendars, as you can see, they're becoming more and more demanding, more and more challenges. There are more and more races, so you need more and more staff that are professional also in this sense. So you need always to train people, and that's not easy when sometimes you're busy actually doing the job on site. And other logistical challenges for me, for example, well, we've seen COVID, we've seen typhoons, we've seen everything. But the hardest logistical challenge, in my opinion, at the moment is moving electric batteries. That is really a nightmare. It really is a nightmare, and that's where you need the training and the certifications. Because it's really a hard commodity to transport. So.
Yeah, and Alina, you were kind of talking about how there's that pressure to kind of come up with new ideas. Do you think that a growing calendar also puts extra pressure on that to kind of come up with new ideas more quickly?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have shorter lead times in between the races as well. And it's not only about creating content for my role, it's also about coordinating our how do you say, our on-site experience. So we of course have customers coming to the events, and we need to give them the best experience ever, right? So I need to teach the markets what rights we have as part of our contract, and then I also need to make sure that these rights are being implemented on site, and that customers get what they deserve, let's say. And then the race calendar being bigger and lot more races are coming to the table, I think it makes it more challenging for me to teach, of course, more markets, and especially new markets. We have Tokyo new to the calendar. Is a big one because the markets are not aware of Formula E. They don't know what it is. So you need to really teach them about the partnership, but also about everything on site. And for me, I cannot be in each and every race. So I need to make sure that everything is well coordinated and aligned before. And I also need to be available during the weekend. So as Manuela said, it's not a 9-to-5 job for sure. So you need to work on the weekend. You need to be reachable for your colleagues. There are very crazy stories that you need to tackle, or crazy issues that you need to tackle. Even if you're not there, you need to just manage everything.
Yeah, I'm sure. Off the back of that, you kind of both talked as well about how we're such a global sport. So one of the things that's been a major talking point over the years, and something that DHL are heavily involved in, is the sustainability of the sport for the future. So I'd definitely like to talk a little bit about how the sustainability affects the transportation from your side, Manuela.
Yeah, that is another, let's say, challenge on top of everything, because firstly, this is a topic that is very, very close to DHL DNA. We, as DHL, were pioneers in the quest of creating sustainable logistics before this became a hot topic, pun intended, because DHL, has always, has always invested in creating, sustainable solutions in logistics, and these investments are in terms of what we believe, but especially in terms of of monetary investments. You have to think that the DHL Group will invest 7 billion euros in climate neutral logistics by 2030, which is a massive amount. And this is our commitment as a group for a more sustainable future when it comes to logistics. These funds will flow into sustainable aviation fuels, the expansion of our, e-fleet, and also into climate neutral buildings. To get back to your question, how does this reflect into our work and transportation and motorsport? As you can well imagine, logistics are a very big contributor in CO2 emissions. In any business, motorsport is not different. And we are constantly looking for innovative ideas in order to minimize this impact during our activities. And this is an ongoing process, because obviously we need to combine the need of being there in a very short time frame with the logistics networks and infrastructures that are, especially in Europe, but also in other countries, are kind of old, and they are slowly adapting themselves to the new needs. So it's a delicate balance between what we have available and what we do. And I don't want to go into, too much technical details, but I can assure you that we are investing heavily in utilizing all the means that we can have, like sustainable fuels routes, use of, like, for example, sea freight when it's possible, which is less impacting air freight, trains, anything we can think of as a team, and together with our customers, Formula One and Formula E, in order to cooperate to reach our common climate targets and emission targets. So we also consult our customers in how they should, keep the weight of their freight, minimize the weight of their freight, how to pack it in a more convenient and sensible way, so that we can transport it in a more sustainable way. And again, as I said, it gives challenges, but it's what we want to do. This is what we want to do, especially for the future of well, I'm not that old, so I want to still be, living in a very, in a good environment. But it's for our children. It's for the people that will, come after us, that we need to be responsible. And even in our daily lives, in our job, we need to be very, very careful about what we do. And this is what we do as DHL and DHL Motorsport in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Alina, I mean, Formula E has always been about sustainability. So how, in your work, how important and how are you kind of getting that message across through in your marketing, that it is all about sustainability, and how are you continually pushing that message?
Yeah, sure. So for me, it starts with a really deep exchange with Formula E, of course, but because Formula E is not all about electric racing, right? They have so many different initiatives. Same for DHL. So we do so much, and sustainability is also a very broad topic. So you can do so much, and this is where it all starts. So gaining an understanding of each of the company's sustainability efforts and plans and actions, and then finding ways to find synergies, right? So a good example that I can give you is, for example, we recently launched or created, we as DHL, the first electric cargo airplane. which is called Alice. And she's not yet flying, but the first test drive was successful. So what we did is we went to the hangar where this Alice plane is located, and it was close to Portland, where the race was held in June this season. So what we did was we brought the Formula E show car to next to the Alice plane. And we had created some really cool content with the car driving around the airplane, all electric, of course. And then we had a very cool educational piece with our content creator and the safety driver of Formula E. And they were exploring the different technologies. And what was quite exciting was that you could just plug in to charge the car, the same charger you could use to charge the airplane. So you could just change it, right? And it was also for me, I mean, you know that electric cars are charged by a charger, but it was for me, charging a plane with like such a small charger was just so incredible. So yeah, that's I think what I do. So I really try to find interesting angles about sustainability, about the things we're doing in order to keep our really nice planet clean, and then talk about it in a really engaging, but also sometimes in a funny way, sometimes in a more playful way, depending on the audience you're speaking to. Yeah.
That is very cool. I think all of us are going to go and look that up later.
Yeah, I can share the link with you to all of that. It's quite exciting.
As we're coming towards the end of the webinar now, I'd kind of like to end talking about your advice. So I guess, what is one piece of advice that you wish someone had given you when you began your career in motorsport, or one piece of advice that you would give the girls watching today? Manuela, we'll start with you.
Okay. For me, my piece of advice personally is do not be scared of not being in your comfort zone. Actually, try to challenge yourself. I mean, this doesn't mean that you have to pretend you know things that you don't know, but sometimes you need to like jump in and do something you're not really, sure you'll be the best at. And slowly will become easier. For example, I hate speaking in public. I don't really like it, but because this is not, and when I started, the first time, I think it was really hard for me. I'm still not 100% comfortable, but now I pretend better, No, and really, what I would like to say, from a female point of view, like a woman's point of view, is that besides being passionate about what you do and brave and curious and receptive, be a partner to other women, be supportive of other women, really do create a sisterhood, because this is very important, and always think that if you work in a team, and we are the epitome of like working in a team, if you can share your strengths with other people, if you can support your colleagues, not being competitive, this is not a run for a career, this is for you to share a journey together, then you will be better, always better in your job and as human beings, I think. And also never be scared of surrounding yourself with people who know more than you. I always try to find people that were for my team that know something that I don't, because this is going to be better for the team, and will make me grow as well. You never stop learning, and nobody knows everything. So don't be scared, don't be competitive, and support other women. If you want, us to be growing more and more and more, we need to be own best friends, women to women. That is what I feel.
Absolutely. What about you, Alina?
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Manuela with everything she said. For me, it's probably an obvious one, but I think it's embracing failure more. So not every decision will lead to the desired outcome always. So I have made a lot of failures and a lot of mistakes, especially in the first season when I started the job, because I had no clue. And yes, there were people explaining to me what I have to do or what I should do, but in the end, you make your own decisions, and they are not always right, and they are not always what you expect them to be, or what the outcome is expected to be. So I think from every failure you learn and you grow, and I mean it's also a bit about resilience. So in the job you also get a lot of, not a lot of, but you get from time to time also some critics, also not only from outside but also from inside the company, because there are people saying, well, you're sponsoring Formula E, they're not really sustainable, whatever. They don't know about the platform, they don't know about the partnership, but and also about the content you're creating. It's not always it's very subjective, right? Some people love it, some people don't like it because maybe they're not the right target audience, whatever. So I think you get a lot of feedback, sometimes negative feedback, but I think it's about staying resilient and believing in your strength and in your abilities, and then defining, let's say, setbacks as opportunities. And yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, both fantastic pieces of advice. I mean, that is a wonderful way to end tonight's webinar. So first and foremost, thank you so much for both of you for joining us and giving up your time. You have been absolutely fantastic. It's been so wonderful to hear all of your knowledge. A massive thank you to all of our participants as well for attending, and Girls on Track UK and Motorsport UK for making this event possible. If you have enjoyed our webinar tonight, don't forget that it will be made available for you to watch back. And if you aren't already a member of the Girls on Track UK community, the community is totally free to join. And we now have over 7,000 members and would love to welcome you to join us. The link to join and to sign up for the mailing list will be going in the chat now. Also, once the webinar has finished, there will be a link to a very quick survey, which we would love for you to complete, as it helps us know what you want in the future. So please take a few moments to complete that once the call has ended. One more massive thank you to our panelists, Girls on Track UK and Motorsport UK, for making tonight possible. And keep an eye on your mailboxes for news about upcoming events and opportunities. All that's left to say is thank you, have a lovely evening, and Merry Christmas.
Thank
you all. Enjoy your Christmas. Bye.
Ciao.